Okay. All right, everybody. So welcome to the webinar. Glad you guys are here. Glad you made it. And my intention is to make this webinar as valuable as I possibly can for you. I've got some slides that I'm going to be going through, and then we're going to turn everything over to you guys and just take questions and hear about the challenges you have and start really diving in. So without further ado, we're just going to dive right in. So this webinar is, I named it Next Year Starts Now, Make 2020 Your Best Year in Business. Now, every year for me has been our best year in business. We've certainly had ups and downs, but we've always made each year better than the previous year. So I'll get into that a little bit. But one thing I noticed is that a lot of contractors don't spend a ton of time planning and preparing for the year. This is something that I spend a ton of time doing. It's basically all I've been doing for the last month and all I will be doing for the next month. December is going to be a pretty light month for me, but that's all I'm going to be doing is preparing for next year. So we've always used this off season to go through a lot of what I'm going to go through with you guys today. And I think it's been a huge part of our success growing the business every single year and how we've made growing our business every year easy. So my intention for today is that I show you guys how to make growing your business next year easy. And I've always told people, if you've heard me, follow my emails, videos, that stuff for a while, you know that I always tell people you get in this business not for the results you're going to accomplish in years 1 and 2. You really get into this business for years 3, 5, 7, 10, when you really get things going. So no matter where you are right now, if you can get a 30 or 40% growth on your business next year and your income and do that again the next year and again the next year, every single person on here would be in a really incredible spot 2 or 3 years from now. There was 3 years where I really chased the, get rich quick type of idea, the overnight success. I started my painting business in 2011, 2010 technically, but I did 4 jobs just so I didn't have to get a real job. Really the first full year in business though was 2011. And from late 2010 until the end of basically 2012, I did as little as I could in my painting business as possible and pursued other businesses. I really didn't want to be in the painting business. I wanted to, get into one of those really sexy businesses. You watch the Shark Tank or you watch The Profit and you read the news or you follow the companies out of Silicon Valley and you see all these like huge apparent successes. And so I was chasing that. I did a consulting business. That sounded pretty cool. I didn't really like it much. Did a clothing business. There's some guy who talked about all the success he was having in clothing, and we had this fun idea, and we did clothing, and I hated that. Did network marketing, did really good at that, but really didn't like it. Did a couple other businesses that just totally failed. So after a couple years or a few years of really trying to chase like this overnight success, my painting company kept growing and growing. And a lot of my, why it grew, I think, is what we're going to go through today. But also, after those 2 or 3 years, I thought to myself, hey, I've been chasing this overnight success, and all the while I've been putting very little time into my painting business, and it's been growing and growing and growing. So maybe, really great business, like my huge success is right under my nose, and maybe I should just put more time into the things that are working. So in 2013, that's when I started to get a lot more serious about my painting business. I got a lot more serious about just the painting business in general. That's when I started Painting Business Pro. That's when I partnered with my good buddy Chandler on Painter Choice. And in 2014, we started National Painting Group and started opening more locations for our painting business, which I'll get into in a second. But there's just so much opportunity here, which I'm really excited to share with everybody. So what to expect today. So first, I said a lot about me, but like I said, in 2004 is when I actually started in the painting business as a college student. Got hired for an internship where I ran a painting business over the spring and summer. So I knocked doors, sold jobs, hired painters, managed the projects, and made profit. So I ran about a $60,000 painting branch that year. I didn't really do any of the painting. I've maybe painted one house in my whole life. I'm a terrible painter. You don't want to trust me to do any painting. I'm just not good at it, but I am good at hiring and finding people who are really good at it. And I do know my stuff as well as I need to know my stuff when it comes to delivering a great paint job and paint tech and all that stuff. So in 2004 was my first year in business. The next year I recruited and trained and mentored other college students to do the same thing. So I had a team that did about 300,000 in business that year. The next year I did it again, did about 500,000. The next year I did it again, did about 500,000. The next year I was a co-VP. So I ran my own team of interns running their own businesses, and I oversaw 2 other mentors. So I was now coaching the coaches. That year did about $1 million in business. All of this was while I was getting my degree in economics and business. The last year I was with the company, I was the VP of sales. I started a new business model for the company using subcontractors. And so we had an internship where just the college kids were just doing marketing and sales. And then I was running point, getting all the jobs produced using subcontractors. And that business model, I started it with the company. There was a woman in Seattle and a woman in San Diego who also started at the same time. So as the 3 of us building this new model, the company scaled it all across the country since then and has opened other trades and all that stuff. But that was the last year I was with that company, which was 2010. Left the company, did a few paint jobs on my own, and started my painting business in 2011 because I knew I could do it. So I've trained hundreds of people one-on-one to start a painting business from scratch. And those people I trained were college students. They're college students who have no background in business, no background in painting, and were able to get leads, sell jobs, hire painters, and manage job sites, and get jobs done and done well. And that was what I did for those 6 years. Then when I started the consulting company, I started working with service companies, and in particular painting companies who wanted to improve their business. And I was just doing one-on-one. I was charging anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour. And what I noticed after a while was I kept saying the same things again and again and again. So I'd meet with one guy and he needed help with marketing. So I'd give him all my marketing suggestions, made a huge improvement in marketing. And then the next week I'd meet with someone else who needed help in marketing, and I'd say the exact same things to this guy. So I kept repeating myself again and again and again. It all came down to the same basic principles with marketing. Like if you're not generating a ton of leads, here's some things to do with marketing. If you're struggling with sales, here's what you want to do with sales. If you're struggling with finding good painters and contractors, here's what to do there. Oh, you're struggling with organization, here's the system to put in place there. And it just kept being repetitive. So that's when I actually started putting it into a program, which is now Painting Business Pro. So since 2014, actually including Foothills Painting, we started 16 painting companies. 8 of them we closed because we didn't like the business partners. We made a lot of mistakes with who we chose to work with, but we closed 8 of those companies. We sold 4, and I still operate 4 painting companies. Those 4 painting companies in 2019 will do about $5.8 million in business. In 2018, we did $4.1 million. So we grew by about 45% year over year in revenue, but our profit went up significantly more than that because of last dollar income. So doing really well. We expect next year to do somewhere between 10 and 12 million, depending on how well we execute. I also have over 1,000 members in Painting Business Pro who have implemented everything that I teach. And I've got a ton of really amazing success stories. So I really love that. We have over 700 people in our Facebook group. Many of you guys here are in that group. So I know I'm preaching to the choir. But last reason to listen to me is there's nothing that I'm going to ever teach that I don't do. I practice what I preach. And I know there's some really good things out there. But if I haven't done it and proven it myself and I don't have a reliable system for it, I don't teach it. So everything you ever hear me talk about is things that I'm actively doing in my business. So the purpose of the webinar is to show you how to make growing your business simple. Your business doesn't need to grow tremendously every year to experience tremendous growth over time. If you grow your business by 30% a year, you can grow significantly in 4 to 5 years. And oftentimes what I notice is people can grow a lot faster than 30% per year, but even that is huge. Okay, so that's the purpose, to show you how to make growing your business simple. So how this is going to go is I'm going to show you how to make it easy to grow your business, how to make it simple, how to make it easy. I'm going to show you the really simple process to go through to make it easy. Then after I've gone through that and showed you guys, hey, here's the process, here's how you make it really easy, I'm going to invite you guys to start telling me why it's not as easy as I'm saying. So that's when you're going to be devil's advocate. You can tell me all the things that are tough, all the reasons that it's harder than I'm saying, etc. And then I'm going to prove to you why it actually is easy. So I'm going to start to address some of your, what about this? What about that? Here's some challenges. This isn't why that's easy. And start to address some of those and show you how, no, actually it is quite easy to grow your business year over year. So that's going to be the format of the webinar. So any questions about what we're going to be going through here before I dive right in? Hey, and it looks like we've had a few more people join in here. So if you just joined in, just introduce yourself, where you're from, and what's the name of your company. If you're looking to start a company, you can say that. But actually, I've got a webinar tomorrow about that. Okay, so I'm not going to really be watching the chat, guys. I'm just going to dive through a bunch of stuff, and then we're going to open it up to questions and all of that stuff. What are your challenges in growing your business and so on for next year? Okay, so how to make this business easy. How to make this easy growing your business. 2 steps. Step 1 is create your business plan. So we're going to go through an example of that. Plan your numbers for next year. And we're going to plan your numbers to be bigger than last year. And you're going to use this last year, 2019, as a baseline. That's going to be step 1. That's what I'm going to walk you through in a second. So what I would recommend right now, good to see you, Paul. Glad you're here. So what I would recommend right now is, if you are already in the Painting Business Pro membership, open up your master business plan file and just start updating it. If you haven't done it already for next year, I would recommend carving out some time and make your master business plan for next year. So that's what we're going to do first. You're going to use your 2019 numbers for a baseline, plan your numbers for next year with growth, and we're going to make your business plan. Once we've done that, we have the map and the plan for the year. Step 2 is going to be to hit the plan. So we're going to jump into this business plan first. So this is the simple version. Okay, we've got a detailed version as well. Let me see if I can actually pull that up real quick. So here's the detailed version. So I'm just going through the simple one because some people here this is going to be your first crack at it. So I'd rather you do a business plan than not do one. I'd rather you do a simple, basic one than not do one at all. All right, so I've got this simpler business plan. So this one, this basic, and I'm going to send you guys both of these. Anyone who attended or signed up for the webinar is going to get these plans, both of them. But we're going to just go through the basic plan. If your business is under $300,000 a year, in fact, even under $500,000 a year, this plan will work just fine. So this detailed one, I'll show you in a moment. So let me just walk you through these real quick. All right, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we're just going to fill this one out. But basically, there's going to be 3 tabs to this basic plan, okay? We've got your financial tab. This is where you're going to estimate what's the revenue goal for next year. And this is always going to be what you fill out first. So I've already filled this out just to save us time. So we're going to make a budget for $1 million business. Actually, let's drop this down and make it, well, no, I'm not going to redo all this with you guys here. But you can make this for any number you want. Okay, so this is why it's useful to have last year's numbers so you know what's going to be growth and you have a baseline. Now, if you don't have a baseline for your numbers yet, this is a perfect time to first make your business plan. Let me see what questions are popping in here quick. That issue with the simple one seems to be glitched, or you're using it wrong. I was driving. So Hayden, if you have any issues, if anyone in Painting Business Pro has any issues at all, just reach out to us and we'll get things fixed for you. So don't worry too much about that. How about the ones that just starting next year? So Paul, if you're just starting next year, great question. And hi, Pamela, great to have you here. So anyone who's just starting next year, you're not going to have a baseline. So you're going to make it up. And Paul, I believe you're in the Painting Business Pro course, so use the numbers I recommend, but I'm going to put a few suggestions on here. So first, you're going to pick your revenue. This is the total sales you're going to do through the year. A good year for a good target for first year business is 300,000. So that'd be a first year target. Then your expenses. So a production manager. Many of you won't even have a production manager yet. You probably shouldn't have a production manager until your business is doing about $500,000 per year. You need a production manager, okay? Subcontractors. So I have this budget at 52%. A good target is 55% or lower. My company target for this next year is 48%. Okay, so we're going to pay out 48% to our subcontractor. Workers' compensation, this is probably 1 to 2%. We cover our workers' comp on everyone. Materials, for us, this is just basically test samples. But I think 1% should be fine here. Your subcontractors should be providing materials. And then a sales rep, which most of you should have a sales rep. You probably don't need a sales rep until you're also at about 500K before you need a sales rep. Now, one little caveat. If you're someone who uses painters, actual employee painters, you would put employees here and materials here. If you're using employees, this should be more like 30 to 35%, and the materials should be 15 to 20%. We're aiming for subcontractor plus materials to be about 50%. So that's how we fill out this top section. And then when we go down, that's what's going to give us our gross profit. There's other ways to do this too. So some people put production manager down below if maybe like they might be an overhead, but you don't need to worry about that. What you need to worry about mostly is that every expense is accounted for here. And I'll show you guys the detailed one once we get through this. So then we have insurance. So you put in your insurance premium, accounting. You might have a bookkeeper, someone who does your accounting. You might need some office supplies for the year, contracts, lawn signs, business cards, so on. And then you've got your marketing expenses, your different lead services, website and SEO, Better Business Bureau. You'll have whatever you have. And if you need to add columns, you can just open this and insert rows, and you can put some more in here. You can, of course, delete. And what this is all going to total up is your total net profit. And this would be a good, healthy year on net profit. So this business plan is a production manager who does all the production, a sales rep who sells it all, and we have $50,000 for marketing. We don't have a lot of other costs. And this would be a $273,000 profit, which is not unrealistic. But if we just change this production to, 570,000, for example, you're going to see that's going to be reflected down below. Okay, so this is going to be step one, is you fill out your budget. Now, if we have the master business plan, this more detailed one, we're also going to start with the budget. It's right here. So this is where you can put in your actual numbers from the year before. You'll just notice that this one's more detailed because we have more line items. There's more business expenses here. You'll notice on the basic plan, there's very little insurance overhead. On the master plan, we've got management, employee benefits, bank fees, an office manager, CFO, liability insurance, bookkeeping, payroll processing, professional fees, consulting, office, utilities, etc. Okay, so we've got a bit more detail here, but the same principle: revenue, variable costs, and then down here is all of your fixed costs. Okay, so this is how this works. We've got, I think, roughly the same example over here. It's a little bit different, but close. So that's going to be step one with building a plan for next year. Step two is you're going to go over to the sales plan. So on this basic one, we've got this yellow highlight in. So what you're going to do is put in your numbers for next year. So when you put the numbers in here, these yellow ones, that your sales goal is $1 million, your average job size is 3,000, your sales ratio, so what percentage of your estimates do you sell, and then your lead conversion. So that's how many leads do you get turned into estimates. So that means out of 100 leads, we'll do 65 estimates. Out of 65 estimates, we'll sell 30% of them. And out of all those jobs we sell, the average job size will be 3,000. And then you put in here, how many sales weeks do you have? So for us, we have about a 42-week sales season. We don't sell a whole lot in November or December, but we start up in January, so we plan for 42 weeks. Now, if you are like Rich and you think you've got a shorter sales season, you might put in 30 weeks here instead. So what this is going to do is, based on the numbers you put in here, it's going to say, here's your weekly targets on average. So over 42 weeks, for us to get to $1 million, we need 41 leads a week, 26 estimates a week, 8 jobs booked a week for 23,800 in sales per week. And then we plug that in down here, okay? So we're going to just start plugging in those numbers each week. And that's going to kind of create our sales plan for the year. Now, you can kind of play with this a little bit. So you might know you need to move some numbers up and some down. You might know this might be a little shorter. So you can kind of play with these numbers and they'll total everything up for you over here. Okay, so over here. So if I say we're not going to sell anything this month or that week, you'll notice it adjusts your total sales. And you just want to make sure your total sales plan gets you to $1 million. So this sales plan has us hitting $1 million by November 4th. If we don't sell anything in this first week. So this is the basic one. It's pretty straightforward. Put in your numbers here. And if you don't know them, make something up as a place to start. It's going to tell you what you need to do each week. And then you plug the weekly numbers in. How many leads, how many estimates, how many jobs booked, and how much sales. You'll notice that this plan includes all 52 weeks. And so you can determine based on your sales season which ones you might want to go up higher or lower. Okay, so you're going to just map this out 1 week at a time. And yes, this might take you a little bit of time. It might take you a day. It might take you a couple days. I'm going to spend probably 2 weeks just preparing for next year between my master business plan file for every one of the companies, our employment agreements for every one of the companies, the compensation plans for all the companies, the action plans and strategies for all the companies. Like I'll spend a couple weeks doing all of this. So it's worth doing because without this, you don't really have a map or a guide for the year. Then we're going to do the same thing with production. You're going to fill out these few, oops, not this one. Fill out what's your production plan and how many weeks you have to produce, and it'll average out how much you can do. So we might only have 30 weeks of production, exterior, 30 weeks we can really paint. So I need 33,000 in production a week as like an average. Okay, so we'll go back to the original we had. And again, you're just going to start kind of plugging in your numbers. You know your business and your market about what can we do per week each of these weeks throughout the year, okay? And we're going to make a budget. And then what you want to do is make sure that your budget ends up at $1 million down at the bottom. That's going to total all these up. And you might play with it a little bit. And that's it. Okay, so now we've got our plan for the year. Now this might seem to some people like really simple, and it is supposed to be simple. The point is doing it. And this is just step one. This is just mapping out your plan for the year. We're going to get into how do you hit those goals second. Now, if we look at the more detailed plan, this is kind of the same thing. We enter the sales goal, the job size. This is how many leads does it take to set up an estimate. And then over here, you're going to put in your sales ratio for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And then you're going to also put in what percentage of your plan. So on this one, you're just going to fill out the green spots. And this has a lot more formulas in it. So it's going to be a lot more detailed for you. In some ways, this is going to be less work than the basic one. And then we have the production plan where you're just going to fill out the green as well. And it's going to map everything out for you. Okay. And then you might need to tinker with it until it looks right. Okay, so we're going to send this over to you to do. Now let's jump into whatever's next year. So we create the business plan next year numbers. Now, at this point, we're just making shit up. Okay, we're just saying, hey, we want to aim for 30% growth, or I want to make $100,000, and so you're going to tinker with these numbers a little bit until you find something that's a good fit. So you might say, hey, I don't know, I'd love to make 150 grand next year. Great, so head over to your business plan and start messing with all these numbers until you see 150,000 here in net profit. Start playing with it. So this is how you map out how you're going to hit your goal before you ever hit your goal. We just got to map it. So this is the money, and this you can all kind of plan on. This is what we need to do each week in marketing and sales, and this is what we need to do each week in production to hit those targets. Any questions on this? Hopefully for some of you guys, this is a total review, because if you already are members in Painting Business Pro, I hope you're already using the crap out of these forms. Okay, now there's a handful of numbers we need to hit on that business plan. So this is to step 2. Hit your business plan. Now, the first one is leads. Okay, everything is going to start with leads. Marketing is the bottleneck to your entire business. Okay, so if you don't have the right number of leads, you can't do the right number of estimates, you can't sell the jobs, and it's going to be really tough to hit. Good, Matt. It's going to be really tough to hit your targets. Okay, so what we're going to do is first, what's our lead goal? Okay, so what generates your leads is your marketing strategy. So we can get into a little bit more about that in a second, but that's where you want to look, is what is my marketing strategy? Look, some of you guys have a marketing strategy called you do this and this, and hopefully it works. Some of you have a marketing strategy called I get all my business through word of mouth. Well, what if nobody calls? That's not a strategy. Strategy is something you can do to control your number of leads. Now, I go into a little bit more detail in the Painting Business Pro course about all of these things, of course. But a couple things I'll hit on with leads. If you're not utilizing lead services, that's low-hanging fruit. Lead services like Painter Choice, which I co-own, CraftJack, Networks, Porch, Thumbtack, Home Advisor. Now, all of these, and the last ones I would test would be Thumbtack and Home Advisor. They're harder to be profitable with. But look, if you're pricing your jobs right, you should have plenty of money for marketing. You have it in your budget even. Look, we've got $50,000 budgeted in here. Maybe you're not going to do door-to-door, so maybe you've got $25,000 you can spend on Home Advisor. The point is, how you hit your marketing targets in your lead targets is with your marketing strategy. That's it. So that's the place to look. So if I'm not hitting my lead goal every week, I need to look at what can I do to do a better job marketing myself. So we'll come back to this in a minute. We're going to come back to all these in a minute. The second number you need to hit is estimates, right? So if we look over here, I'm going to be bouncing back and forth here. The first thing is, see, your budget is mostly the result. This is like the end result. The first thing we need is leads. How many leads we got? Okay. Then how many estimates are we actually doing? So estimates is based on calling your leads. So look, I can send through Painter Choice, right? I co-own Painter Choice. So we send out thousands and thousands of leads to hundreds of contractors throughout the year. And we have some contractors that we're talking the same market, okay? Like both are contractors in Houston, or they're both contractors in Chicago. We'll hear from one person that says, I love your guys' service. I set every single lead up for an estimate. And then we can hang up the phone and get another call from someone in the exact same market and say, I got 7 leads and I didn't do a single estimate. That is called conversion. That's called how do you manage your leads. So if you're getting a bunch of leads, but they're not turning into estimates, then what you need to work on is your conversion. So a few little tips with conversion. Call your leads immediately. Call them a second time that same day. Call them the next day. Call them the next day. Call them the next day. Probably call them 5 times in the first 4 days. Try calling them at different times. Try calling them from a different phone number. Second thing, send them an email. Same first day, send the email early on. You miss them, immediately send an email. 2 days later, send another email. The third thing you can do is text. More and more people text these days. I screen a lot of calls personally. I actually screened a call today. I'm getting my house appraised because we're doing a refinance to do a bunch of work on the house. And I missed the appraiser's call because I ignore every phone number I don't know. But then they send me a text. I'm like, oh, it's the appraiser. And I called them right back. So send a text. Okay, but you need to manage your conversion. Getting leads is step 1. Turning them into estimates is step 2. So look, this is like a video game. You can't worry about level 2 if you're failing at level 1. Beat level 1 first. Hit your lead thing. Right? Getting really good at sales is useless if you don't do any estimates. Getting really good at producing jobs is useless if you don't have any jobs to produce. And getting really good at conversion is much more useful when you've got a lot of leads. So level 1, get leads. Level 2, turn those leads into estimates where you meet with people. Now the next step is, let's just look, how many jobs did I book? I just did my performance reviews today with my sales team. Friday was with our production team, color consultant coordinator, 4 production managers, and today was with our sales team and our marketing manager and ops manager. And I was looking at how was our sales team doing at the beginning of the year compared to the end of the year. One of my sales reps, she started out the year, the first 3 months of the year, her sales rate was 27%. The last 3 months of the year, her sales rate was 54%. She got a hell of a lot better at sales. And so that's improving your sales, your professional sales process. Look, she was the same person in the same company with the same prices, the same contracts, the same reputation, and she was selling 27%, and then by the end of the year was selling 54%. Another sales rep I have was selling, she averaged this year 42%, but the last 3 months of the year, she sold 62% of her estimates. And then my other sales rep, he averaged 45%, 46%. He sold 69% of his estimates at the end of the year. So you can get a lot better, and we invest a ton in training, but that's where you look. That's what you got to work on. So far we've got 3 systems, 3 things we got to get good at: leads and marketing strategy, estimates, converting those leads, and turning those leads into sales by working on my sales process. The next thing is revenue produced. So this is your production system. So if you've got the sales, okay, so we're hitting this sales plan. By the way, do you know that it's impossible to hit your production plan if you don't hit your sales plan? I've never met somebody who produced more jobs than they booked. So we're going down the line here. It's a funnel. First, I got to get the leads. See, I can't do 10 estimates if I only get 8 leads. And look, some of your numbers might be better than this, right? You might say, actually, I have an 85% lead conversion, in which case you only need 31 leads a week. Fine. But you can never do 20 estimates on 15 leads. And you can never sell 8 jobs on 6 estimates. And you can never produce 20 grand if you only sold 15. So we've got to be focused at the front first. My company is focused mostly on marketing still, because marketing leads to everything else. We don't hit our marketing numbers, we're not going to hit anything else. We got to hit marketing first. So we go crazy on marketing at the beginning of the year. Now production. So that's hitting these targets. So how do I hit these targets? Sorry, I hear weird beeping noise. I'm like the only person in this office building right now. It's this big snowstorm. It's probably snowed 4 inches in the last 2 hours. No, there's weird beeping. The lights are probably going to go out on me, but that's okay. All right, so production system. This is recruiting, training, and managing your painters or subcontractors. That's what your production system is. Recruiting, training, managing painters and subcontractors, and then aligning your schedule with your customers. So it's how do we do this and how do we do it well? So that's pretty straightforward. And then the last one is profit. So I could hit this and this and this and not hit my revenue produced. Like I get way behind. I don't have enough contractors. I don't schedule it well, and I don't hit that, which then means I don't hit the revenue number. I don't hit the gross profit number. I don't hit the net profit number. So I need to get the leads to do the estimates. I got to get the estimates to do the sales. I got to sell well to have the jobs to produce. And then I got to produce it to hit the target. But if I do all 4 of these things, I still might not make the profit. And the profit is 2 things. Number 1 is how well do I estimate my jobs? Am I underpricing myself? Because like I told you, if you want to run a good, healthy business, you should have your subcontractors, your labor plus materials, no higher than 55 to 60%. Our company aims for 48, and we'll probably do that. This year we were at like 50.5. Next year we're raising prices a little so we can bring that down to 47, 48. Because as our company's got a lot bigger, we got more overhead, so we need to raise our prices slightly. So how do we hit this profit target? It's two things. Number one, see, the way you guys want to think about this is I pay out 50% to our subcontractors. If you don't use subs, you should be paying out 50% to employees. Those are your painters, plus materials. Either way, we want to be at this 50% number. Now, a lot of people will think, oh, 50%, that's not fair. Well, it's not that I bid a job and then I say, hey, you get half. I say, what's a fair price to pay? And I'm like, oh, it's $2,000. Great. So I'm going to bid that job for $4,000. So our pricing formulas, our estimating formulas come up with a price so that 50% is a good, fair price. Our subcontractors make more money with us than they do with any other company they can work for. We're actually the highest priced. But there might be other companies that pay, $1,800 on this job and they charge $2,400. Look, this company would be paying out 75%. That sounds pretty good. I pay 75%. I'm like, yeah, well, I pay 50, but my 50 is more than your 75. Now, this company is going to be able to sell easier than I can because they're lower priced. See, that's lazy. Selling based on price is lazy, and it's not how you build a good business. You can't sell on price or you won't have any money. See, look, if I paid out 75% to my subcontractors, let's see what that does to my gross profit margin or my net profit. Oh, now I'm making $43,000 on $1 million in business if I pay out 75%. I can't build a business this way. And by the way, when your business gets to 2 million, you've got a hell of a lot more overhead than this. You need to be at this 50% range if you want a good, healthy profit margin. Look, this is if everything goes perfect, by the way. And it's not gonna. You might need another $50,000 in marketing costs to get there. And this is pretty good. This is pretty good and healthy. 20% net profit is a good number to aim for. So back to this profit number. I need to have a good estimating system so that I come up with the right price so that what I pay for labor and materials is about 50%. That's my payout system. And then the estimating system needs to get me the right price. Now, when you get the right price, you're going to be a higher price than other people. There's going to be other people who will come in and just try to undercut you in price. That's why you need a good professional sales process. Okay, so this is how this all works together. And this is how our plan works. So now what we do, now that we're clear on that, let's see what's next here. Okay, moving on. So what if you don't hit your numbers? Or if you don't think you can hit your numbers, you aren't hitting your numbers, or you're not sure how to hit your numbers, etc. So what I mean by that is if you look at this plan and you say, whoa, 41 leads a week, or whoa, 26 estimates a week, or whoa, producing 30,000 a week, and you look at those numbers and you say, I can't hit that, or maybe it's February and you're not hitting those numbers, then what do? Well, it's kind of a dumb answer I have, but do something else. Do something different. That's all. Now, most people don't do that. This seems really obvious, but most people don't do that. Most people complain, or they come up with a bunch of reasons why they can't hit those numbers, or they blame their market, or they blame their competitors' low prices, or they blame the marketing sources they use, or they blame the fact that they don't have any money, or they blame the fact that, so-and-so undercut their price, or they blame the fact that, contractors are unreliable, or they blame the fact that no painters just can't do good work, or they blame. That's what most people do. Of course, not you. You would never do that, but most people do. Nobody on this webinar, I'm sure. Now, some examples of doing something different. Let's just look at marketing. Well, are you getting leads and you're just not setting them up? Then it's not marketing. You got to work on converting your leads better. Are you doing estimates and you're just not selling them? Well, you got to work on selling better. if you're, you're like, Eric, I'm using all these lead services and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not hitting my marketing target. It's like, great, do something else. Go start knocking on doors. Go start dropping flyers. Go start taking a $2 box of donuts to the paint store every single day. Go start dropping donuts off at real estate offices every single day. Go hustle. Because I can tell you, if you're not hitting your marketing numbers, you're not hitting your leads, then you've got some free time. Because what you're not doing, if you're not getting leads, you're not doing estimates. And if you're not doing estimates, you've got free time. So get your ass out there and find some business. That's literally what you do. There's no shortcuts in this game. But I promise you, somebody else in your market is doing more estimates than you are. So what about estimates? So you're not getting enough estimates. You're like, I'm calling. Great. What's your phone number? Try a different phone number. Call the company you were getting leads from. See what suggestions they have. Maybe you just need to be more patient. Go ask one of the groups on, I'd be careful what groups you ask on Facebook, because most of the painting contractor groups on Facebook are people who are not killing it. You don't know who you're getting advice from. So I'd be careful about the advice you get on public forums, because that person might be broke. And you don't want to take advice from the broke guy. No offense to anybody who's broke, but I look for advice from people who are doing a hell of a lot better than I am. And you want to do the same. So I'd be careful about where you get advice. But anyways, the point is, get resourceful. You've got to solve this problem, okay? So these are just a few examples, okay? But you got to do something else. You got to do something different. A big one this is with revenue produced. People are like, I'm recruiting painters, training, managing people, blah, and they're like, nobody wants to do these jobs for me. It's like, okay, well, how are you pitching it? For example, I hear about people and they're like, nobody wants to work for 50%. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. That's why I don't say I pay you 50%. I don't say that. I say, I can pay you $2,000 for this house. Want to do it? So you've got to be willing to accept responsibility that, hey, I'm not hitting these numbers because it's something I'm doing. Somebody else can and is hitting these numbers. What are they doing differently? And you got to just do something different until you do hit those numbers. So I'll tell you what might happen. You might make this plan. You might make your business plan, and you might not hit your numbers for that long. You might not hit them until May. But guess what? Once you do hit these numbers, next year you'll hit those numbers. And then you'll hit even better numbers and better numbers. So what I've mostly noticed is your business will grow slower than you want it to, but it doesn't matter, because if you're ambitious, your business can still grow pretty damn quick. Let's see what the chat said. Rich said, if I'm just not good at sales, should I get a salesperson? I would not recommend as a business owner to just hire people who in places you're not good. Because you don't know if they're any good and you can't help them. And quite honestly, building teams, hiring people, managing people, that is way harder than sales. So I think as the owner, yeah, that's correct, Paul. As the owner, you should get good enough at every part of your business before hiring other people for it. So Paul asked a question, because sometimes the chat doesn't come up in the recording. Paul asked a question, said, so we tell them what we're paying, we don't ask them. He's talking about paying subcontractors. You don't ask, hey, what can you do this for? No. You don't ask them. I tell them, because I booked this job for $4,000. I know my estimating formulas. I've never seen, in 14 years, I've never seen a subcontractor measure a house. I can't trust their numbers. They don't even measure the house. I do. I can trust my numbers, and this is the price I'll pay you. Do you want the job? But this isn't a subcontractor training, so I'm not going to go into too much depth on that. So let's jump back over here, okay? So Rich, I'm going to answer your question in a second. Rich's question was, if I'm not good at sales, should I get a salesperson? Well, let's jump in. So there's a couple things you can do. So if you're not hitting your numbers, you don't think you can hit your numbers, you're not hitting your numbers, you're not sure to hit your numbers, you're going to do something else or do something different. I gave you some examples. So let's talk about dealing with problems in business. That's what I'm going to call this. These are problems. Any number on your business plan that you are not hitting is a problem. because you need to be hitting your numbers. That's how you hit your numbers, is by hitting all the smaller numbers is how you hit the big number, which is how you hit the number that really counts, which is your bottom line. That number that you put in your pocket at the end of the year. That's the number that really matters. So how you hit that is you hit all the numbers above the bottom line. How you hit those numbers is you hit your production numbers. How do you hit your production numbers? Well, you estimate jobs right and you hit your sales numbers. How do you hit your sales numbers? You do enough estimates and sell them well. How do you do your estimate number? You get your leads and you convert them well. How do you get your leads? Marketing. So this whole thing works together. Any of those numbers along that whole chain that we aren't hitting is a problem and will stop us from hitting that bottom line number. So here's how you should deal with problems in business. Again, I told you I'm going to make this easy. Every problem you have in business has already been solved by someone else. There are very, very few problems in this business that have not already been solved. I'm actually working on solving some of the problems that haven't been solved or haven't been solved by very many people, so I can't find the people who have solved them. Like, how do I deliver an 11 out of 10 experience where people are freaking blown away? And how do I do that at scale? I know some people can do that. I did it. I know how to blow somebody away with their paint job. If it's the only job I'm managing, or I'm doing 100,000 a year, a couple 100,000 a year, how do I do that when I'm doing 15 million a year? How do I build an organization that delivers that? Now, that's a problem that I don't have an answer to, but people have little parts of that problem solved. There are some people who know how to deliver. There's some people who know how to build teams. There's some people who know how to do this. But for the most part, every problem you will have until you're in the millions has been solved by someone else. So your two options for dealing with problems in business are come up with your own solutions and figure out how you can improve. And that's very valid, okay? And I'm going to give you a real life example I'm dealing with right now. Number two, find someone who has already solved the problem and do what they did. So this is what you get paid for as an entrepreneur. You get paid to solve problems. There's an easy way to solve problems, which is use other people. And there's a hard way to solve problems, which is do it on your own. Now, I'll just be upfront with you here that I've got a course to sell because I've already solved a lot of the problems you have. You can pay me a pretty small amount of money and I'll just give you answers to all of this stuff. Now, I'll give you an example for me. So my courses I sell are $1,000 to $2,000 bucks. Okay, so it's not a ton of money. That's one paint job. It's the profit on one job pays for what I sell. Now, one of the problems I'm trying to solve is how do I make door-to-door marketing an incredible position in my company where somebody can make $100,000 a year going door-to-door? That's a problem I have. I want my door-to-door marketing position to be an amazing position where someone can make $100,000 a year. So I've got two options. I can come up with my own solutions and figure out how to improve, which we've done. We've done a lot of stuff. Honestly, we've gone from our door-to-door marketers making $150 a week or $200 a week, making like $17 an hour, to now my best door-to-door marketers make about $40 an hour, or about $1,000 a week. And that's part-time. So I've done pretty good on my own, and I know some other things I can continue to do. But what I did is I flew out to Salt Lake City and I went to a door-to-door boot camp with a company that teaches people how to do door-to-door. And I spent $700 going to the boot camp. And then I went ahead and I hired them to consult my company. It cost me $50,000. Spent $50,000 and they're going to consult me for 6 months because they're going to give me, I could never come up with the systems. They've been doing this for 15, 20 years. This is what they do. They're masters at door-to-door. I'm not. So I could go spend 2 years, work my tail off, and still not get as good of a result as they've got because they've been doing it for 15 years. I'll have been doing it part-time for 2. I can't get as far as they can get me. So I'm going to pay the $50,000 so that they can come in and fix that. Now that's all to scale, right? We're going to spend $500,000 on door-to-door next year. So $50,000 to make that better is easy, because it's going to be better not just for next year, but for the next year and the next year and the next year. So look, this is something I practice. I do this. I try to, if there's a problem I can solve with money, I do it, because the most valuable thing you have is time. And we're in an incredible time right now with doing business. I can't even imagine what's going to happen, but there are people selling solutions left and right. There are so many places where you can buy people's experience. You can buy 10 to 15 years of my life experience and get it in a 15-hour training course. Distilled down, stuff that took me forever to learn. And I can go do that with these door-to-door guys. And I can do it with the people who I get my wealth coaching from. And I can do it with the people who help me implement a lot of my business stuff. And I did it with this other group I was a part of. And I spent tons and tons of money on solving problems, because it's an investment. So those are your options. And so, Rich, one thing I would recommend doing is either sign up for my Painting Business Pro course and apply the sales process that's in there, or sign up for my sales mastery program and apply the sales training that's in that course. Just so you people know, I don't want to go into this now, but Painting Business Pro will say, hey, here's the sales process, black and white. Here it is. Here's the scripts. Here's the process. There's a couple hours of video training. And Painting Business Pro has the entire business. So everything we talked about, marketing strategy, conversion, estimating, your sales process, your whole production system, budgeting, business plan strategy, the whole business system is Painting Business Pro. The whole thing. It's like a business in a box. Sales Mastery is an in-depth, month-to-month sales coaching program where we go a lot more into depth with sales. So that would be my advice, Rich, is invest in training yourself on sales. We don't sell anything door to door. We go door to door, at least right now, say knock, knock, knock. Hey, how's it going, man? I'm Eric. I'm with Foothills Painting. I noticed you had some peeling paint up here, so I just want to put you down for a free estimate. And you say, sure. I say, great. What's your name? What's your phone number? Have you been thinking about painting? Yada, yada, yada. And then we set up an estimate, professional estimate, following the sales process. Okay, so where are we at? How do you make the business easy? You make your business plan. Set goals bigger than last year. So make the plan bigger than last year. And then you hit your business plan. These are the 5 main numbers you hit and how you hit them. What if you don't hit your numbers? Well, now you got to solve a problem. You can solve a problem one of 2 ways. You can do it yourself, which will take longer, but it's free, kind of. There's an opportunity cost to doing it on your own, but you're not forking money up. I think opportunity costs more. Or you can find somebody who's already solved that problem. Sometimes you can find people who've solved those problems for free on YouTube or on Facebook or on whatever. So sometimes you can find solutions to problems for free, or sometimes you can pay. And that's how you make growing your business easy. Now I'll tell you what, now this is simple. It's easy. Look, I use both words. I use simple and easy. Simple, yeah, this is simple. Make the plan, execute the plan. Which of the 5 numbers am I not hitting? Work on that until you hit them. How do you work on it? Well, you keep trying different things until it works, or you find somebody else to help you try different things until it works. That's it. And eventually, over time, you'll hit all your goals. It will probably take longer than you want it to take, but that's okay, because you've got plenty of time. And if you grow your business 30% a year, let's just do some math for you real quick. Let's say you grow your income by 30%. Let's say you grow your income by 20% a year. You're making $60,000 now, and you grow your income by 20%. By year 2, it's 72, 86, 103, 124, 150. By year 7, 180, 214, 257, 300,000. So in 10 years, you'd be making 300,000 a year. I think pretty much anybody here would be totally cool with making 300 grand a year in 10 years. And that's at a really small growth rate. And I can tell you from experience that if you actually apply this, it's going to be an accelerated curve. It's going to be exponential. It's not going to be 20%, 20%, 20%, because you're going to be fixing a lot of different parts to your business. That's why you see companies that look like they had overnight success. because they put down this groundwork for 5 or 6 years and then they exploded. All right, so now we're going to switch gears, and I want to hear the challenges that, yeah, Eric, that all sounds great, but here's why what you just said isn't actually easy. Here's the challenges I have. Here's why I can't do it. Tell me why growing your business is not that easy. And by the way, guys, I'm talking, when I say 20% and I say 30%, I'm going really conservative. Our business grew 45% this last year, and we weren't trying to grow. We were trying to button up systems. This next year, we're going to grow probably 60 to 100% year over year as a business. And the next year, I think we'll do the same. So 20 to 30% is small potatoes. I would encourage you to think bigger, because look, when you solve marketing, you might be able to exceed that marketing goal. And then when you solve doing estimates and converting, you might exceed that goal. And your sales rate might not go 30%, it goes even higher. And your job size might go up, and your revenue produced goes up. And then you start building a team, and it starts building and building. So I'm using small numbers so that, not to limit you, but just to say, look, even small numbers produce incredible results. Even small growth numbers produce incredible results over time. All right, so what questions do you guys have? Challenge me. What's not actually this easy? What are the challenges you have? And I'm going to pull this up for you. Which of these 5 things first of all, here, we'll do it this way, guys, since I'm not getting a lot back in the chat. Just tell me right now in the chat, yes or no. Can you make a business plan with the templates I'm sending you and this webinar recording? Can you make a business plan? Put them in the chat, guys. Say yes or no. Is everybody confident in that? Is there anybody who's not confident? I definitely want to hear if there's a no. If anybody's not confident, definitely let me know. And if you're confident, great. You can do step 1. Oh, what's up, Jeff? All right, now step 2 is, can you hit your plan? Here's the 5 aspects. What are your concerns? When you look at this list, what are you worried about? I want to hear it. What are you worried about? Which of these 5 things are you worried about being able to hit? Finding subs isn't delivering any results. Where else should I search? Okay, so here's a great example. So Matt said he's using, and a lot of people probably have this, production, subs, production. Can you guys clarify sub problem? Like Carla, can you clarify the problem with production? And Daniel, can you clarify when you say sub problems? Matt said finding subs, limit of subs limits, limit of subs limits my selling timing to produce. Okay, so let's just look at this sub issue. So Matt said finding subs with the ad provided isn't delivering hardly any results. Where else should I search to recruit besides Sherwin-Williams reps? Well, I would recommend posting, because Craigslist, I have yet to find a market that Craigslist doesn't actually work. I've gone into a lot of markets and it does work. So I would try posting in, are you posting in general labor or skilled trades? And what, are you posting in general labor as well? Post in general labor, that's why. That's why you're not getting any results. All right, Carla. So we're going to do a little exercise here. So I just kind of addressed Matt. So this was a quick one, right? So what you guys want to do is you want to look and see, when you look at this list, which one of these things am I concerned with? And then you have an answer. And then look at your answer and be like, okay, how do I solve that? So Matt's was, I'm not finding enough subs posting this ad where I'm posting it. So then I'd say, okay, well, where else could you post it? and he's not posting anywhere besides skilled trades. So that's an easy one. All right. I think that'll solve it, Matt. Carla, you said painters are going overboard on prep and not collecting change orders. So what do you need to do? Right? So the answer is do something else or do something different. Other people have already solved that problem. So what do you think you need to do, Carla? Well, Carla answers that you started making them call before proceeding. Yeah, look, you're putting a system in place. You've already got the right answer. I'll tell you what, guys, part of the thing is you got to not worry about hitting things immediately. Just fix one problem at a time and focus on these numbers getting better every week. That's all you got to worry about. And you'll experience significant growth. Matt said limit of subs, limit of how many subcontractors he has, limits his selling timing for production. So obviously for you right now, that's the bottleneck right now. It's like, no, I could get more leads, I could do more estimates, and I could sell more. I just need more subs. Great. So you attack that problem until you have fixed it. If Carla's issue is like, hey, I'm hitting my leads, I'm hitting my estimates, I'm hitting my sales, my revenue produced, I'm hitting everything, I'm just not hitting my profit because my guys are going overboard and not doing change orders. Great. So say, hey guys, if you go and do extra work and you don't do a change order, then it's coming out of your pay, or you're not going to get paid for that extra work because you didn't do the change order. And they'll start doing change orders real freaking quick. Daniel said getting good subs locked in at 55% or less. The good subs kill me in negotiation. The cheap subs do things that make you fired on the job. Not making excuses. These are the problems you've had. Great, Daniel. So what's the solution? That's your bottleneck right now, right? So how do you solve that? Get Painting Business Pro. No, forget Painting Business Pro. I think that would probably help in more ways than just subs. But forget Painting Business Pro. What do you think you could do to solve that right now? There's going to be an answer, and then you're going to have a problem with the answer, and then I'm going to ask you for another answer. Well, one way is I'll give you a few different possibilities, but here's one. What Matt said, charge more. That problem is fixed if you charge 10% more. Because now you've got the good subs locked in at 50% because you raised your prices by 10%. And then you might, so I'm like, cool, I just solved your problem, Daniel. And then you say, yeah, but then I'm pricing myself too high and I won't win jobs. And then I say, cool, improve your sales process because it's not really about price. If you're losing a job because you're making a $3,000 job, $3,300, then they're going with you because of price and you're not doing good sales. So then that would actually be the problem. So that's one solution, is just raise your prices a little bit. A second thing you can do is, interview more subcontractors. A third thing you can do is see if it's the way you're presenting it. See, one thing I do is, and by the way, guys, in the Painting Business Pro course, you're also in the membership, which is 700 people in a group on Facebook who have all dealt with the same stuff. So the best thing you do, Daniel, is you go say, hey, this is what I'm running into, and you'll get like 20 responses from people, and then you can start trying them out. So honestly, the support group of Painting Business Pro is as or more valuable than the course itself. Now, there's another possibility. I didn't even think of that one, what Matt just said. I learned the art to negotiate the more expensive subs is to offer them 40% and let them up to 50%, and they don't know it, but they're happy with 50%. Another thing I did, Daniel, is we say to a good sub, we say, hey, you want to do this job, Daniel? I'll pay you $1,500. And then you say, I need $1,700. And I say, dang, I don't negotiate. This is the best I can do. No worries, man. I'll get somebody else. And then I come back to you next week and I say, hey, Daniel, I've got another job, pays $1,500. You want to do it? And you say, no, man, I could do it for $1,700 though. And I say, dang, wish I could have given it to you. It's okay. I'll find somebody else. I come back next week and I say, hey, Daniel, I've got this job, pays $1,500. You want to do it? And you say, yeah, I'll take it. Because it's better to take it for $1,500 than sit your ass on the couch for one more week. Don't have what luxury? What's the luxury? Great. So here's another answer then. See, you guys gotta practice. Well, you do have that luxury. Just find what I do, Daniel, is I say, hey, it pays 1,500. You say 17, and I say can't do it. And then I go to the next guy and I say, hey, you want to do this for 1,700? It's always on my terms. Always. Now, if you're just getting started, here's another answer to your problem is don't worry about being at 55% right now. That's not even the problem. Yeah, of course you can come on the mic. Come on, bring it, dude. Hold on, I'm moving you over. All right.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah. So I've only done about 7 jobs this year. And when I say I got killed on price, it's not like I was giving them at, 65, 70%. It was like 80 or 90. And where I was getting killed is that, okay, so I finally got this crew off Craigslist or whatever, met with them, made sure they can paint, all that kind of stuff. I can't do that with like 4 guys, especially if I don't have any work to give them, because I feel like, do you follow my logic?
Yeah, so your first bottleneck isn't that.
Okay.
You need more jobs.
Right.
Yeah, so I'd be focused on that.
Okay.
I wouldn't be so worried about that. As long as I'm not losing money, it's fine. I do need to, kind of juggle both, but like, yeah, you're not going to keep any good sub if you don't have consistent work.
Yeah.
Right? If that's the issue, first of all, 80% is way too high. You obviously either priced way too low or way overpaid.
I got murdered. Yeah, it was overpaid. I actually priced them okay.
Okay, yeah. So so whatever. That's an easy fix. Find a different sub. You shouldn't be that high. You should be at least able to get someone for like 65% and still be making good money.
Yeah.
Nick, no, Nick, but you're welcome to come on and chat. Okay, so, or you can send me an email. Okay, so you can definitely get someone for 65%, but you want to get these other numbers going, right? Because if you're like, I've only done 7 jobs, like, cool. So just get by for the first 7, but really what we want is to figure out some consistency. Right. So why is it not 4 or 5 estimates a week? Even if you're working full time, you should be able to do 4 estimates a week on a weekend. Right? Now, this time of year is tough, but we're talking about next year. And when you're making your business plan for next year, you should be taking into account the seasonality. Mm-hmm. And again, you're just early, man. Like if someone's early starting out, it's really easy to grow your income next year. So my job's even easier.
Yeah.
But I would just be focused on just getting the ball rolling more. And don't even worry about being at 65% right now at the very beginning.
Okay.
You just want to hone that in. Shit, man, it could take you 6 months to hone that in. You're going to be very profitable at the beginning because you don't have any overhead.
Yeah.
You can pay 10% to marketing costs, 65% to your sub, and still put 25% in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I hear you, and I see what you're saying for sure. I don't know how long you want me to just ramble on here, but the problem that I ran into was, I brought on this crew and they did a great job for me for the first several jobs, but I was getting just, like I said, they were out negotiating me, and I sort of got them down a little bit each job, but it was still kind of pretty bad margins in my favor. So I said, all right, forget them. I can't get them down on price. Let me get this new sub in there. And this guy just did a number. And it's actually one of the things I emailed you about or mentioned in my creative life that I was going to talk about, unrelated. But so that's why I said that my issue is with subcontractors right now, not so much in producing the jobs. Because if I had a sub that could do a job for 60%, I would go crazy on buying leads because I can sell them okay.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's why I said that. That's all.
Got it. Yeah. So what's the answer? And look, guys, here's the thing for everybody. You need to, and I see this so it's insane how much I see this. People are not in problem solving mode. People are not creative enough. Like you are an entrepreneur. Your job is to solve problems. And you can solve, there's never been more resources available to entrepreneurs to solve problems than there are today. Someone else is doing what you say you can't do, or you're saying, hey, I'm having trouble here, I'm having trouble there. Yeah, well, that's what you get paid the big bucks for. And the big bucks you don't make in year 1 and 2 in this business or in any business. You can make great money in years 1 and 2. I've got students who made over 100 grand in their first year, a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. But the real money is, okay, look, you've got this product sub problem. Great, solve it. It takes you 3 months to solve it. You said, oh, once I solve this, I can go nuts with leads. Great. Well, then in 3 months, when you solve it, and by the way, I think you're a smart enough guy that it won't even take you 3 months, because my guess is, by the sounds of it, you haven't done enough. You haven't even interviewed enough subs. Like there's not enough there's just not enough action taken yet. So I think you can probably, yes, you'll get a copy of this, Paul. So, shit, I just lost my train of thought.
Shoot, what were you saying? You were saying that it's the problem is that I don't have enough subs.
Yeah. So look, if it takes you 3 months to solve this problem you have, if you said, hey, I can make it rain with leads, great. Then you're doing 10K a week. And then you're going to say, shit, now I've got another problem. It takes you 3 more months to solve that problem, but then you get to 15K a week. Mm-hmm. And then you get another problem. It takes you 3 more months to solve that problem, but now you're at 20K a week. Now that means like 15 months from now, you're doing 20K a week. You're on pace for like an $800,000 business already.
Yeah.
So like just focus on removing one big bottleneck at a time.
Yeah.
And right now yours is subs for sure. Yeah. You got one guy who overcharged the hell out of you and another guy that did a terrible job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's for sure. That's a place to look. Glad to know you've got this, and you're afraid to do estimating and get work without having anyone. So that's a problem to solve, but you got time.
Cool. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for coming on and chatting with me about that. It's always helpful for people to hear that. Okay. Let's see. So, Nick, shoot me an email at eric@paintingbusinesspro.com. Okay. So we covered quite a bit of stuff here. Carla, did we address your question sufficiently? We get you covered okay? Okay. So look, so I'm just going to recap this. I know I've said this a bunch of times. So step 1, create your business plan. Everybody here, you're clear. You know how to make a business plan. So map it out. Okay. Step number 2, you focus on hitting this, and you just see, look, it doesn't even matter if you get it right. There's only 5 things. So you just want to look and see, which one of these do I need to work on right now? Which one's stressing me out the worst? Which one do I need to work on the most? And just go to town figuring out how to solve that problem. Use friends, use network, use resources, use online information, buy a course, buy mine. There's another guy, Steve Burnett, he has a membership called Double Your Business. It's like $39 a month. If you can't afford my course, go sign up for Steve's. You'll learn some things there. The bottom line is you've got to solve problems. And that is what makes you money, because once you solved it, it's permanently solved. You want to grow a really big business? Solve bigger problems. Solve this one, then this one, then this one. Literally how you grow your business is by solving the next problem, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So what you got to get good at is solving problems. And that's how easy it is to grow your business. You know, once you figure out this sub thing, man, your business is going to your week to week business is going to double or triple. That's crazy. Way more than 20%. You know, Carla, when you figure out your profitability issues with your guys and you put in a system that really works to hold them accountable to change orders, your profit margin is going to go up by 5 to 10% permanently. So you got to figure out how to solve problems. That is what it's all about. All right. And this was going to be a slide I was going to write stuff on as we went, but we just used the chat. So, okay. So let me just see what Frank said here. I've just started my business. This webinar helps a lot. My goal is to retire from your job and start full force in January. Trying to figure out how to keep the horse before the cart. completely understand the importance of leads marketing, but is having an inbox full of subs technically the horse? Should I be conserved on marketing and hope to find subs? The best thing you can do if you're just starting is go sell jobs and one of the things I teach in my course is sell a job and give your client a discount to work around your schedule. So you sell a job in, let's say, January 15th, and you say, hey, I'm going to schedule you for March when the weather gets better. You've got 8 weeks to find a sub. So I would schedule jobs first because honestly, you're going to have a really hard time finding subs if there's no jobs. And so I'm going to give my clients discounts to work around my schedule so that the second I've got a sub, I can do their job. So last thing I'll leave you guys with is the old promotion of what I offer. So I told you one way you can solve a lot of these problems is find people who've already done it. That's what I do. I've got a Black Friday sale. It's going on until December 2nd. You can save 33% off the best course that I offer, which is PVP Growth. You can save 20% off Painting Business Pro. There's payment plans available. So you can get these courses for as little as like $250 payment. You'll get full access to the course when you make your first payment. The first 50 people who sign up for my course, awesome, Frank. The first 50 people who sign up for the course are going to get some extra little bonuses I'm throwing in there. There's a 30-day money back guarantee. So you literally have no downside investing in my course, but there's a ton of upside. Look, if my course can solve 2 of those problems for people, it'll pay for itself, no question. And look, I have endless stories of people who have made thousands and thousands of dollars off of the course in the first month. All right, I have people who probably could attribute $100,000 in profit just to the course. And I could just go on and on and on. So I should strongly recommend investing in that. Remember, it's a business write-off. True. Thank you. These guys are big proponents. They've seen huge improvements in their business. There's nothing but great reviews. I'm not going to go into this. You guys can check this out. But basically, I got 115 reviews online, and they're in a bad one there. You can go look at the Facebook reviews. There's 60 there. You can look at Shopper Approved. There's 55 there. I'll send out the links in the email. Does anyone have any last questions before we wrap up the webinar? Daniel, it's good to hear you, man. All right, I'll tell you what, you guys. There won't be a video of this in the member section. We'll email the recording of this out to the people who are here and who registered. You really didn't miss anything in the first few minutes, but you will get a recording. You guys are also all going to get the detailed and the basic version of the business plans, so you can do those. I'll also send you a link to the Black Friday sale for the course. And if you have any questions, like Nick or Daniel, if you have any follow-ups, or Carly, if you have any follow-up questions, just send me an email to eric@paintingbusinesspro.com. And you guys have a great week with your families and for Thanksgiving, and make those business plans, folks. Make them. All right. So thank you guys for showing up. Thanks for being here, and email me if you have any questions. It's been real, and you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate y'all. See ya.